Work on your phrasal verbs, part 6. Глава 16, 17, 18. 16. Clothing and fashion. Do up. If you do something up, you fasten it. She showed her son how to do up his shoes. I can't do my top button up. То есть do up – застегивать, завязывать, если это шнурки. Вот в первом значении. Примеры. She did up her bootlaces. Do your jacket up. Let me do up your zip. Do up your coat. Застегни пальто. Do up your shoelaces. Завяжи шнурки. You've done your buttons up the wrong way. Ты неправильно застегнулся. The skirt does up at the back. У этой юбки застежка сзади. Второе значение. If a piece of clothing does up in a particular place, it is fastened there. Ну, как раз вот это был пример про юбку. The top does up at the back. Третье значение. If a woman does her hair up, she arranges it so that it is fastened close to her head rather than hanging loosely. То есть делать прическу, укладывать волосы. She did her hair up in a ponytail. Her hair was done up in a neat bun at the back of her head. Her long hair was done up in a tight bun. Dress up. Первое. If you dress up or dress someone up, you put special smart clothes on yourself or someone else, usually for a social occasion. То есть наряжаться, нарядить. Нарядиться, наряжаться. It's fun to dress up for a party. I like to dress my little girl up in pretty clothes. Второе. If you dress up or dress someone up, you put special costumes or unusual clothes on yourself or someone else, usually for fun, often at a party where everyone does this. В общем, это тоже наряжаться как костюмы. Macy loves to dress up in her grandma's clothes. We dressed Alex up as Superman for Emily's party. Mary was dressed up for the party. We were dressed up as pirates. То есть мы были одеты в костюмы пиратов. He dressed up as a gorilla. Mother loved to dress me up. Get on. If you get a piece of clothing on, you dress yourself in it. То есть значение как put on. То есть you can also use put on. Надеть что-то. Get your coat on. Это то же самое, что put your coat on. Go with. If one thing goes with another, they suit each other or are pleasant or attractive together. То есть сочетаться, хорошо идти. Those shoes go with your dress. Или this shirt goes well with the pants. Have on. If you have clothing on, you are wearing it. То есть быть одетым во что-то. I can't wait to take these shoes off. I've had them on all day. She had on an old jacket. To have a hat on, значит быть в шляпе дословно. Или to have an overcoat, быть в пальто. She had a blue dress on. Это то же самое, что she was wearing a blue dress. Или she was dressed in a blue dress. Pick out. If you pick out one thing, you choose it from a group. То есть выбрать. Christina picked out a nice pair of shoes to wear. She picked a skirt out that she thought Ellie would like. Pull off. When you pull a piece of clothing off or pull a piece of clothing off someone else, you take it off quickly. Take off quickly. Remove clothing forcefully. То есть снять быстро или резко, или с силой. I managed to pull my boots off. То есть стянуть Снять быстро. James pulled off his socks. I pulled Tom's boots off his feet. Противоположно этому будет pull on, натянуть, надеть. When you... Вот, кстати, дальше идет pull on. When you pull on your clothes, you put them on quickly. То есть быстро натянуть, накинуть, набросить. Still sitting, he pulled his shirt and trousers on. Put on. Первое. When you put on a piece of clothing, you put it over a part of your body and wear it. Or you put it over a part of someone else's body so they are wearing it. То есть надеть. She put her coat on. Note, the opposite of put on is take off, снять. Во втором значении. When you put on makeup, a cream or perfume, you spread or spray it on your skin. То есть наносить, накладывать. Примеры. Make sure you put some sun cream on before you go out. Пример. Давайте еще посмотрим. He put his coat on hurriedly. Он в спешке набросил пальто. She hasn't even put any lipstick on. You don't need to put on makeup. Тебе нет необходимости накладывать макияж или косметику. Put on your glasses. Put on your jacket. She put on her jeans. Здесь еще третье значение put on, набрать вес. I can eat what I want, but I never put on weight. Следующее show off. If you show off something that you own, you show it to a lot of people because you are proud of it. They held out their arms, showing off their jewelry. He bought her a ring, and she has been showing it off to everyone. Hand out, это, кстати, означает протянуть руки, вытянуть руки. То есть show off, выставлять на показ, демонстративно показывать или пускать пыль в глаза. Take in. If you take something in, you make an item of clothing smaller and tighter. Ушивать, в объеме. He lost so much weight that he had to take in all his trousers. Note, the opposite of take in is let out. То есть let out означает сделать шире, выпустить. Примеры. To take in the waist, ушить в талии. She had taken in the grey dress so that it hugged her thin body. Let out one's dress, выпустить платье. Следующее. Take up, укорачивать, ушивать. If you take up a piece of clothing, you make it shorter. I can take up those trousers for you. Note, the opposite of take up is let down. Let down – это удлинять. Take up – укорачивать. To take up a skirt – укоротить юбку. She took up all her skirts up 3 inches. She took up all her skirts up 3 inches. Let one's shirt down или let one's coat down – удлинить. Try on – примерять. If you try on a piece of clothing, you put it on to see if it fits you or if it looks nice. She tried on several dresses but couldn't find any she liked. Try on this dress – примерь это платье. Try on clothing and shoes to make sure they fit. Try on this suit. Let him try the coat on for size. То есть for size значит посмотреть, годится ли оно по размеру, впору ли оно. Wear out. When something wears out or when you wear it out, it is used so much that it becomes weak or broken and unable to be used anymore. Sooner or later, the soles of your favorite shoes are going to wear out. He didn't want them walking up and down the stairs and wearing out the stair carpet. Wear out. Изнашивать или изнашиваться. He wore out his shoes wandering around Mexico City. То есть бродя по Мехико. I'm just wearing this old coat on. Я просто донашиваю это пальто. I'm just wearing this old coat out, sorry. I've worn out my coat. То есть я износил свое пальто. Wrap up. Первое значение. When you wrap something up, you fold a piece of paper, cloth, or other material around it so that it is completely covered. То есть обернуть, завернуть, укутывать. Такое значение. We wrap the glasses up in tissue paper. Tissue paper. Это то же самое, что tissue. Означает тонкая, оберточная или упаковочная бумага. Или еще говорят папиросная бумага. Еще tissue paper означает бумажная салфетка, бумажный носовой платок. Так, примеры. We wrap the glasses up in tissue paper. My hair is wrapped up in a towel because I've just washed it. Note, you can also use do up. То есть do up тоже как в первом значении упаковывать, завертывать. Вот примеры. There was a pile of gifts, all done up in shiny paper. Там была куча подарков, завернутая в блестящую бумагу. Do up the parcel. То есть упакуйте посылку. Wrap it up in cotton wool. Или wrap it up in paper. Оберните его ватой или оберните, заверните его в бумагу. Wrap up a Christmas present или Christmas parcel. Да, просто wrap up a Christmas present. Заверните рождественский подарок или сверток. Следующее. Второе значение. If you wrap up, you put warm clothes on. If you wrap someone, especially a child, up, you put warm clothes on them. То есть wrap up. Укутать, укутываться. So, if you wrap up, you put warm clothes on. Wrap up well. It's cold outside. The children came to school wrapped up in coats and scarves. Еще несколько примеров. Tim was well wrapped up against the weather. Marcus has wrapped up warmly in a woolly hat. Wrap up warm. Оденься потеплее. Следующая глава. 17 у нас. Это studying and learning. Catch up. If a person or thing catches up or catches someone or something up, they reach the same standard or level. Once you become so behind with your studies, it's really hard to catch up. They did well early on, but other businesses are catching them up now. Early on означает сразу, очень рано, или на ранней стадии, или быстро, вскоре. At an early stage in a period означает. То есть at an early or at an early stage in a period. Это значение early on. А catch up означает наверстать, догонять. We'll have to work hard to catch the other firm up. Нам придется упорно работать, чтобы догнать другую фирму. Ну, ту другую, ту самую, ту фирму. He spent 6 months catching up with his studies. Он наверстывал пропущенный учебный материал в течение полугода. I caught up on sleep. Мне удалось выспаться. Или I have to catch up on my sleep. Мне нужно отоспаться. Вот еще такое значение. Следующее. Cut out. If you cut out part of something, you remove it by cutting out. She had cut out pictures of animals and stuck them on the wall. То есть вырезать. I cut an article out of the paper and sent it to her. Drop out означает бросить, там школу или работу, или уйти из школы. If you drop out, you leave something that you are involved in before it is finished. She had dropped out of college in the first term. He dropped out of school and went to work in the supermarket. She dropped out after 20 kilometers with stomach trouble. He dropped out of a game. Он выбыл из игры. Fall behind. Отставать. If someone or something falls behind or falls behind someone or something, they do not reach the standard or level of similar people or things. These children often fall behind with their reading. His salary has fallen behind those of many of his colleagues. He has fallen behind in his work. Он отстал по работе. Don't fall behind now, just when you're doing so well. Find out. Выяснить. Узнать. Понять. If you find out something, you learn something that you did not already know. I'm only interested in finding out what the facts are. I use the internet to find their names out. I want to find out the truth. Я хочу узнать правду. We found him out. Мы разоблачили его. I'd like to watch the next episode to find out what's gonna happen. Let's find out the train times. Давай узнаем расписание поездов. She found out that he had been deceiving her for years. Она узнала, что он обманывал ее многие годы. Let's find out what the matter is. Давайте выясним, в чем дело. Go over. If you go over something, you examine or discuss each part of it, especially to make sure that someone understands it or that it is correct. I'll go over the main points of what she said. Go over – пройти, проверить, просмотреть. То есть как examine, check, consider. Или перечитывать, повторять. I want to go over this book with you. Let's go over the text carefully. Давай внимательно перечитаем текст. I'll go over the explanation of how it works. Я повторю инструкцию по использованию. I want to go over my lesson again. Я хочу повторить урок еще раз. We went over several houses, but not one или none suited us. Мы посмотрели уже несколько домов, но ни один нам не подошел. I'll go over my lines before the play. Hand in. Сдать, сдавать, подавать, вручать. If you hand in a piece of work, you give it to someone so that they can read it or deal with it. At 11:30 they handed their exam papers in. То есть сдали работу. Don't forget to hand in your homework. Hand in your composition or hand in your dictations. То есть сдайте, да, сочинение или диктант. Hand in an application. Подавать заявление. When will you hand in the test to your teacher? Hand out. If you hand things out, you give them to people in a group so that each person has one or some. То есть раздавать. They handed out questionnaires to the audience. The teacher asked me to hand the books out. Food is still being handed out. То есть еду все еще раздают. One of my jobs was to hand out the prizes. Please hand out these exercise books. Hand out the question papers as the students enter the examination room. Раздайте контрольные работы, когда студенты войдут в комнату. Look at. If you look at something or someone, you turn your eyes towards them. То есть, взглянуть. Everyone turned to look at the painting. Второе значение. If you look at something, you quickly read it or read parts of it. I have looked at your essay and think it is very good. Note, you can also use look through, как просматривать. Третье. If you look at a subject, problem or situation, you consider or study it. Опять же, рассматривать. His research looked at the way language is acquired. Look out, как look through. consider, рассматривать, рассмотреть. You should look carefully at these figures one more time. Тебе стоит внимательно изучить эти цифры еще раз. We are ready to look at a new proposal. Мы готовы рассмотреть новое предложение. He wouldn't even look at our offer. Он даже не взглянул на наше предложение. Look up. If you look up, you raise your eyes. She didn't even look up from her work when he came in. Второе. If you look something up, you find a piece of information by looking at something such as a book or website. То есть поискать, посмотреть. He used a dictionary to look up the word apotheosis. Apotheosis, апофеоз. То есть он воспользовался словарем, чтобы поискать значение слова апофеоз. Nowadays, you can look almost anything up on the internet. В наши дни можно почти все поискать в интернете. Еще примеры. То есть look up, заглянуть вверх, посмотреть вверх или поискать. Look up this word in the dictionary. So, if you don't know the meaning of a word, look it up in a good dictionary. I looked your address up in the personnel file. Или I looked your number up in the personnel file. Miss out. If you miss out something or someone, you fail to include them in something. British. The brochure had missed out the fact that the hotel was right by a busy road. Was right. He missed some important details out of his report. Note, you can also use leave out, mainly American. Miss out, упустить в первом значении, или во втором не включать, не включить, как leave out, еще, да, американский вариант. We are missing out on a tremendous opportunity. Мы упускаем великолепную возможность. The article missed out some key points. В этой статье отсутствуют некоторые важные положения или пункты. Miss out the details. Just give the main facts. Опустите детали и изложите только основные факты. By leaving early, you missed out on the celebrations. То есть ты упустил. We had to leave this paragraph out of the text. Нам пришлось выкинуть этот абзац из текста. You've left out important word in this sentence. Ты пропустил очень важное слово в этом предложении. Mix up. If you mix things or people up, you are confused about which one is which. То есть перепутать, спутать. I think you're mixing up the American Civil War with the English Civil War. Do you have a tendency to mix the digits up when trying to remember numbers? Sometimes I can mix up people, или I can mix up names or dates. Иногда я могу перепутать людей, имена или даты. People often mix me up with other actors. Люди часто меня путают с другими актерами. I mixed you up with an acquaintance of mine. Я тебя перепутал с одним моим знакомым. She mixed up their names. I always mix them up. Я всегда их путаю. Opt for. Opt for означает останавливать свой выбор, выбирать, делать выбор, то есть предпочитать что-то чему-то другому. То есть как choose или просто как opt. То есть opt for равняется choose, равняется opt. If you opt for a particular thing, you decide to do or have that thing. Unsure what to study at university, she eventually opted for law. Relate to. If something relates to a particular subject, it is about that subject or is connected with it. То есть иметь отношение, относиться. I wanted to ask you a question that relates to electricity. Run through. If you run through something, you explain it or read it quickly in order to practice it, check it, or make sure that people understand it. Some of you won't know this, so I'll just briefly run through it. Note, you can also use go through and run over. Посмотрим еще примеры. I'll just run through the schedule for the weekend. Okay, let's run through scene 3. Давайте еще раз посмотрим сцену или пройдемся по сцене 3. Go through, run over. То есть пробежать, просмотреть, повторить. Let's run through the list. Давайте просмотрим список. He ran through his notes. Он посмотрел свои записи. He quickly ran over the story. We went through the figures. I have to go through the report. Следующее. Sign up. If you sign up, you sign an agreement to do a job or course of study or join an organization. То есть подписаться, записаться. She signed up to do a master's degree after graduating from Columbia. Many men sign up for the army because they can't find a job. Да, can't find a job. То есть идут в армию. He signed up for a 10-week course. She signed up for a photography class. Она записалась в класс фотографии. Take in. If you take something in, you pay attention to it so that you understand, remember or experience it fully. То есть воспринимать, понимать, разбираться. I didn't take in everything that he was saying. Alex had been the perfect pupil, listening and watching and taking it in. To take in a lecture, понимать лекцию или разобраться в лекции. Следующая глава у нас 18. Jobs and careers. Carry out. Carry out – выполнять что-то, основное значение. If you carry out a task, you do it. They have to carry out a number of administrative duties. The team carried out a survey. Survey – это, кстати, опрос анкетирования. So, the team carried a survey out, and its findings were interesting. Еще много примеров будет на carry out. To carry out a project – выполнить программу или проект. To carry out a reform – проводить реформу. To carry out an action – выполнить действие. To carry out an experiment – проводить эксперимент, опыт. To carry out an experiment. To carry out an order – выполнить приказ. To carry out one's promise – выполнить обещание. To carry out business for purposes of profit – вести дело с целью получения прибыли. To carry out calculations – выполнять вычисления. To carry out instructions – выполнять указания. Следующее. Fit in. If you fit in, you are happy and accepted in a group of people because you are similar to the other people in it. You have to learn how the company works in order to fit in. То есть подходить, соответствовать. We are looking for someone who will fit in with our team. She was great with the children and fitted in beautifully. То есть и прекрасно подходила. You did beautifully well in the race. То есть beautifully означает прекрасно. Так, еще примеры. He feels he should become tough to fit in with his friends. Tough – это как крутой, жесткий, твердый, бескомпромиссный человек. Кстати, tough customer – это трудный клиент. Get out of. If you get something good, a special pleasure or satisfaction out of something that you do or experience, you enjoy it or find it useful. I get a lot of satisfaction out of my job. То есть получать что-то, да, из чего-то. Второе значение. If you get out of doing something, you avoid doing it. То есть избегать чего-то, увиливать. If there was work to be done around the house, Alec would always get out of it. He'll do anything to get out of doing to visit his grandparents. Note, you can also use wriggle out of. Wriggle означает извиваться, изгибаться. To wriggle out of, опять же, увиливать, избегать. Примеры. They wanted to get out of pain. You can get out of it now. We gotta get out of this difficulty somehow. Somehow he managed to wriggle out of paying the taxes. Он каким-то образом смог увильнуть от уплаты налогов. She was trying to wriggle out of the invitation. Следующее. Lay off. If workers are laid off or if their employer lays them off, they are told that they have to leave their jobs for a period of time or permanently because there is no work for them to do. City workers are being laid off at the rate of 100 a week. Her employer laid her off 8 months later. Factories are warning that they may have to lay off workers. То есть lay off – сокращать, увольнять временно. Lay off staff – сокращать штаты. Lay off workers – увольнять рабочих. They didn't sell a single car for a month and had to lay off workers. He is a laid-off worker. Он временно уволенный работник. Make up. If people or things make up something, they form it. То есть формировать, составлять. If something is made up of people or things, they form it. Women now make up 2/5 of the workforce. The EU's budget has to be agreed by the member states that make it up. Nearly half the Congress is made up of lawyers. Make up – формировать или формироваться, составлять. The board of directors is made up of men and women. В совете директоров есть и мужчины, и женщины. Women officers make up 13% of the police force. Molecules are made up of atoms. Молекулы состоят из атомов. Let's make up a list. Давай составим список. Move into. If people move into a particular activity or area of business, they start to be involved in it. She later moved into the field of education. То есть заняться, приступить к чему-то. Противоположным будет move out. Но, кстати, move out... Только секундочку, давайте разберемся. Move out, да, это противоположно move in или move into, но у move into есть второе значение. Допустим, move in или move into a flat, то есть переехать, въехать в квартиру. Допустим, let's move into a new flat. Давай переедем в новую квартиру. А вот как раз этому move into в этом значении переехать есть противоположное move out, то есть съезжать, выселяться. Вот. А первое значение move into приступить к чему-то или заняться чем-то. Следующее move out of. If people move out of a particular activity or area of business, research, etc. и так далее, they stop being involved in it. Прекратить что-то делать. People are moving out of the public sector and into the private sector. Но move out of, как я уже сказал, означает съезжать или выселяться. Посмотрим примеры. They had a huge row, and Sally moved out of the house. They have just moved out. Они недавно съехали. We are being moved out of our flat. Нас выселяют. Следующее. Set up. If you set something up, you make the necessary arrangements for it to start. Set up. Основывать, учреждать, открыть или, в данном значении, arrange, то есть организовать. The software billionaire set up a development agency to work in Africa. She set a meeting up for me with the managing director. То есть организовать. Okay. Development agency – это агентство по вопросам развития. Посмотрим еще примеры. To set up a business – учредить торговое предприятие. To set up a committee – учредить комитет. To set up a contract – заключить договор. To set up a fund – учредить фонд. To set up a school – открыть или создать школу. To set up a shop – начать дело, открыть предприятие. To set up a store – открыть магазин. To set up an account – открывать счет. The journal was set up in 1924. Этот журнал был основан в 1924 году. Вот, но в первом значении set up означает организовать, как arrange. Следующее, settle in. If you settle in or you are settled in, you become used to a new place or new job. То есть адаптироваться, обосноваться, обустроиться. How is he settling into his new job? My colleagues were very helpful while I was getting settled in. Еще примеры. I enjoyed King Edward's School enormously. Once I'd settled in. Let me get the children settled in their new school first. Дайте мне сначала устроить детей в новую школу. Shut down. If someone shuts down a factory or business, or if it shuts down, it closes and stops working. They shut down the water plants and told residents to buy bottled water. The company would be forced to shut the whole factory down. More than 50 businesses in the town have shut down this year. Note, you can also use close down, точнее close down. You can also use close down. То есть shut down, close down, закрывать что-то. Предприятие или там магазин. Второе значение. If a machine or an engine shuts down, or if it is shut down, or if it is shut down, it stops working for a short time. His computer overheated and shut down. То есть прекратить работать. Выключиться, отключиться. There was supposed to be an emergency mechanism for shutting down the system. The reactor's automatic controls shut it down. Note, you can also use shut off. Посмотрим еще примеры. Итак, the hotel shuts down in winter. Этот отель зимой закрывается. The plant is shutting down in August. The shop will be closing down on Saturday. Дальше. Допустим, close down a factory, закрыть предприятие. On Monday, the power supply will be shut down for the whole building. В понедельник электричество будет отключено во всем здании. То есть shut down или shut off означает выключать, отключить. Там электричество, газ или воду. Или остановить. Там станок или машину. The local branch of the bank closed down. То есть местное отделение этого банка закрылось. Do please shut off that loud music. Выключите, пожалуйста, эту громкую музыку. The engines shut off automatically. То есть двигатель отключается автоматически. They pulled over and shut off the engine. Они подъехали к обочине и выключили мотор. Will somebody, for God's sake, shut that alarm off? Кто-нибудь, пожалуйста, ради бога, отключите эту сигнализацию. To shut off the electricity, как я уже говорил, или to shut off the gas, the water. Вот, отключить, там, или выключить газ, электричество, отключить. Так, следующее. Stay on. If you stay on, you remain in a place or continue to attend it regularly. British. After his contract finished, he agreed to stay on for another 3 months. Stay on. Задержаться, продолжать работу. То есть continue to study, to work, or be somewhere. Or be somewhere after others. Или to be somewhere after others have left. Вот так, именно continue to study or to work, or be somewhere after others have left. Примеры. You are supposed to stop work here when you're 65. But many people are allowed to stay on. Предполагается, что здесь можно работать до 65 лет, но многим людям разрешается работать и после достижения этого возраста. 75% of 16-year-olds stay on in full-time education. He had to stay on at work to get his letters finished. Ему пришлось задержаться на работе, чтобы закончить письма. Step down. If you step down, you leave an important job or position. The CEO stepped down last month because of illness. Note, you can also use step aside and stand down. Итак, step down, то же самое, что step aside или stand down, означает уйти с поста. Или по-английски withdraw or resign from an important position or office. I've spent so many years as chairman that I feel it's time I stepped down. Я уже так много лет проработал председателем, что чувствую, пришло время подать в отставку. Many would prefer to see him step aside in favor of a younger man. То есть уступить место, должность. It's time for Roland to step down. It's time I stood down as chairman. Настал момент, когда я должен был оставить пост председателя. Опять этот председатель. То есть stand down означает уходить в отставку. Step aside – уступить пост или должность. Ну, кстати, у step aside еще и значение отойти в сторону. I feel that there are so many better people for the chairmanship that I should step aside. Я чувствую, что столько здесь, что поскольку здесь так много людей, достойных должности председателя, опять председателя, то я должен оставаться на вторых ролях. Но опять же уйти в сторону. I should step aside. Следующее, stick out. If something or someone sticks out, they are very obvious or noticeable, especially because of being very different from things or people around them. То есть выделяться. Так. He wore a dark gray suit that would not stick out in any workplace. Note, you can also use stand out. Stand out. Второе. If you stick something out, you continue in a difficult or unpleasant situation rather than leaving it. Sometimes I wonder if I can stick this job out much longer. То есть во втором значении это означает выдерживать, выстоять до конца, выдержать до конца, как по-английски endure, выдерживать. То есть в первом значении это выделяться, во втором выдержать что-то. Терпеть типа дальше. Итак, еще посмотрим примеры. Так, many important things had happened to him, but one stuck out. What had Carter done to make him stick out from the crowd? I really didn't like New York, but I wanted to stick it out a little bit longer. He was one of these men who stood out in a crowd. Grammatical errors are always obvious to me. Spelling mistakes stand out. The new road sign stood out well. То есть дорожный знак, новый дорожный знак был хорошо виден. He stands out among other pianists. То есть он выделяется. His veins stood out, его вены выделялись. The outline of the house stood out clearly against the evening sky. То есть очертания здания четко вырисовывались на фоне вечернего неба или очертания дома. Take off. If you take time off, you spend it doing something different from your normal activities or job. Взять выходной, это означает take off. I won't be here tomorrow as I'm taking the day off. Your contract entitles you to take off 20 days a year. То есть твой контракт дает тебе право, entitle означает давать право, взять 20 дней выходных в году. She took 2 days off work. She's taking the day off. Она взяла сегодня выходной. Take on. Take on. If you take on a job, task, or responsibility, you accept it and try to do what is required. То есть браться за работу, брать на себя что-то. She takes on more work than is good for her. It's a big responsibility, and it's nice of him to take it on. To take on extra work, брать на себя или взяться за дополнительную работу. No other organization was able or willing to take on the job. Don't take on more responsibilities than you can handle. Так, the party has been taking on staff, including temporary organizers. Ну это уже второе значение. Вот, if someone takes you on, they employ you. То есть нанимать, как hire. They took me on because I was a good mathematician. In the current climate, employers are taking on less people. То есть нанимать. To take on a new employee означает брать на работу нового сотрудника. Или to take on workers, нанимать рабочих. И последнее. Walk out. If workers walk out, they suddenly stop working and leave the place where they work as a protest. То есть walk out означает go on strike, бастовать или объявлять забастовку. Up to 60,000 staff will walk out next month in support of a 40% pay rise. Еще примеры. The electricians the electricians have walked out and will stay out until their demands are met. Электрики объявили забастовку и не прекратят ее до тех пор, пока их требования не будут удовлетворены.